Welcome back, guys, to the Business Basics 101 of digital marketing. I've got Gary here with me again.
Hello.
Hi, Gary. Love your stripy shirt, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
It's a present from me, Dad.
We're committed to this, Gary. We are busy, guys, just to be honest with you, but we're making time. We're making sure we fit this into our day so we can continue to provide value, because there's so much stuff that we know, so many questions we get asked, having done this for as long as we have, and we just want to be able to answer those questions for you out there, because there's a lot of pitfalls. A lot of money can be wasted if you get it wrong. And often it can be the reason why businesses fail. Today, we are talking about social media. We're going to do a deep dive into social media, Gary, aren't we?
It's going to be like a free dive, because it's going to be a very, 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 very quick, but very, very, very deep dive.
But a dive nonetheless.
Yeah.
Okay.
I actually have a call with a client in 33 minutes. So this podcast needs to take less than 32 minutes, which if all the other podcasts that we've ever done are anything to go by, and the fact that I'm rambling already is anything to go by.
Okay, be quiet now, Gary.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's move on. Okay. We're going to get started. All right. Recap of the last few episodes. We've done what's in a name, competitor analysis, how to buy a website, how to get traffic to your website. We talked about Google Ads, SEO, and now we're going to be talking about social media, as already mentioned. Social media basics, channels, goals, types of ads, budget and tracking, and just generally how to not throw all of your money down the drain running social media ads for your business, and what to look out for, how to give the campaign the best chance of success.
Yep, and we'll just add at the top of the pod, if you have got this far and you are on episode 7 with us, please like and subscribe and comment and follow. It helps us grow. And
plus, I'm in need of external validation at all times. Desperately in need of external validation, guys. So if you just want to do something, just move that finger just 1 centimeter, click on the mouse, click on the button. You'll make a guy happy.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So just do it to make me feel good, please. I'm begging.
He is begging.
Yeah, I'm not that needy, but yeah. All right, let's move into it.
Okay, so social media deep dive basics. I would say the most basic of basics with social media is, what are the platforms?
There's
Facebook, Instagram, Threads is the new one. Other
Threads, that was, right?
Yes.
I thought you said Freds. I thought there was another new one.
Threads is
Threads.
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 I'm from the north of England. We don't pronounce that sound very well.
Okay.
And then we've also got things like TikTok, and we've got things like Pinterest, and there's just
everyone's heard about TikTok now.
Yes.
People know about TikTok.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised who's on there, right? Like,
do you mean companies or people?
People. There's and owners of companies. You know, that's a thing that I learned early on in the TikTok advertising piece, was the types of people. We ran ads for our own agency on TikTok, and I was speaking to 60, 70-year-old owners of large corporate companies.
Yep.
You know, that had put a lead through at 11:30 at night on TikTok. You know, the night before. So that you know, is a misconception. The first rule of thumb with social media is your customers are on it.
Yeah, so if your customers are on there, you should be on there in order to talk to them.
And there's no if. Your customers are on it. Everyone's on it. My 90-year-old grandfather's on Facebook, right? So you might be surprised if you don't think your customers are using Facebook. Just because you don't, you're wrong. They are.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of different types of... I'd say probably we're going to spend most of our time talking about Facebook. Because that, or Meta now termed Meta, because it incorporates Instagram. So obviously, if you don't know that already, guys, Instagram's owned by Meta. So when you run a campaign on Meta, you know, ideally so that you can run ads on Facebook, you'll see there that it's just another placement inside the platform where you can actually tick a box and have your ads come up on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
As you start to spend more and get bigger and move down that road, you'd probably want to make Instagram specific ads for Instagram, you know, and choose that placement specifically rather than kind of just, you know, using any old ads on any old platform. They're two different things.
I think it's safe to say that throughout this podcast, unless we specify that we're talking about a different platform, all discussion and advice comes from a position of Meta, so Facebook and Instagram. Advertising.
Yes.
Okay. And now within Facebook and Instagram, there are 2 types of communication. There is running adverts and there is posting to your existing audience. And this podcast is going to talk about the running of the adverts. That's where you are being proactive and putting yourself in front of new people. in order to generate sales.
Right.
And posting to your existing audience is a much smaller slice of the pie. Still valid, still important, but that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about posting on their page, at the very least, just to look alive, right? If someone wants to do due diligence and they want to, think about signing up with you, if you've especially got like a large ticket item, maybe you're a business coach or a long-term contract business service that's going to cost a lot of money. You want to make sure that you're looking alive on your Facebook page, but primarily most of the ads that people see in their feed of yours are either going to take them to a landing page, an e-commerce website, or a native Facebook lead form once clicked on. Not many people are actually going to go from your ad to your Facebook page, right? So most of the inquiries you get, most of the leads or sales you get from social media are from people who've never even looked at your page, right? So you can run ads through these platforms with very little, if any at all, effort into beautifying your Facebook page or your Instagram feed. Because most of the traffic you get from these platforms will be from people who've just clicked on an ad, right? And they're not going to go and check you out necessarily every time. There is a new feature though. You might see if you click on an ad from Facebook for an e-commerce or for a service-based business, sometimes it comes up with at the bottom how many Facebook page likes that business has, right? So it still can help to kind of put some effort into your page and help spread it around, but it's by no means a make or break of the success of an advertising campaign on social media.
Should we start at the very top?
Yeah,
Let's
why not, Gary?
Assume that you've got your business, you've bought your website, you are doing everything that we've just discussed previously.
Yes.
And you are creating your advertisement campaign on Meta, Facebook, Instagram for the first time.
Yep.
What is it that you actually need? You need an account. You need a profile on Facebook/Meta. And from there, that's where you can create your adverts. And those adverts, like Bill was saying, can drive traffic to the website. And you can do it, I wouldn't say on the fly, but you can do it easily. It doesn't require significant effort to get it up and running.
No.
To get it up and running at a highly professional level takes skill and expertise.
And creative,
like anything. You can, if you're going to do it really, really, really well, it takes a lot of time and probably investment. But for those of you who are looking at this for the first time, if you want to create a Facebook advert, you could probably have one live within the next hour.
Yes, and step one would be to Google Facebook Business Manager and set up a business manager account for your business. Once you've done that, then you can set up all of the other assets within it. So, or even more than one. If you've got a corporate that's got many trading names, you can create a page in that business manager for each of those trading names.
Yeah, or your divisions, or your departments, or your branches, or your regions, or whatever it is that you choose.
Exactly.
To segment it by.
Yeah, so you can create ad accounts and pages in there. You can create what's called a Facebook pixel, and that is basically a snippet of code that gets put on your website that tells Facebook about the users that are visiting your website, what they're doing on your website, so that Facebook has more information in regards to who to target with your ads and track conversions. If they've submitted a lead form or made a purchase on e-commerce, Facebook can find out about that and further improve the performance of your campaigns as it moves forward.
So, what we're saying then, essentially, is, it's a social media platform. Everyone knows what that is. And to set it up is not complicated or difficult. It's been streamlined. And I wouldn't say...
Oh, they'll take your money.
Oh, yeah.
They've made it easy for you to put your credit card in there.
It's been idiot-proofed.
Yes.
So that idiots can run it.
Yes.
So if you're an idiot and you want to run it, go ahead. Feel free. It's right there. If you're a business owner who's not an idiot and you want to take some time to plan a campaign that, can work rather than just giving money over to the Zuckerberg, then the rest of this podcast is going to help you.
Yes.
So what you would need to do, in the same way that you would need to analyze your competition for a website or for a sale or for a Google Ads account to try to figure out what keywords are running and all of that sort of stuff, you need to have a look at your competitors on social media and see what they are doing.
How do you do that, Gary?
Well, there's a little trick where you can go to their Facebook page, you can go to the page transparency section, you can see ads, or if they are currently running ads, it will say this page is currently running ads, and you can click on it.
Yep, or you can just Google Facebook ad library.
Facebook ad library in the name of the company. And you can
or just the Facebook ad library will take you to a thing where you've seen it, right? Obviously, you can put business names in, or you can even put in a product or a service, and it will show you ads that are currently being run in any. You choose the country for that product or service related to that product or service.
So once you're doing that, or you're doing that before you set up your own Facebook marketing campaign, because you want to know if you're selling shoes, you want to know, is everybody else selling shoes talking about price, or are they talking about quality or delivery or speed or whatever? It's the exact same principle as what we discussed in previous podcasts about doing competitor analysis. And once you have that information, you'll look at their adverts for the quality of their design and the quality of their graphics and anything else that they're using. So you will know how much time and effort you need to put into creating your own ads. And how good they're going to need to be if they are going to exist at a competitive level.
Right.
So once you have that, you can then look at the difference between your adverts on Facebook and your adverts on Instagram. They are housed in the same environment, but they are not the same platform. And Facebook talks to people in one way, and Instagram talks to them in a similar but slightly different way. And for a small to medium-sized company, you don't necessarily need to have a different advert on Facebook that you would on Instagram. But if you were or are a huge multinational, firstly, why are you listening to this podcast? But if you are a huge multinational and you are spending millions per month on social media, then it would make sense to have slightly different creative running across the two platforms, because they do operate in different ways with different ways or different. They communicate to their audiences in slightly different ways.
Which kind of ties into the types of creatives you should be aiming at delivering. You need to be able to interrupt people while they're scrolling through their newsfeed. So that's the first job of any picture or video in an ad, is to interrupt people. The copy at the top is your job to describe what it is to, now that you've got their attention with the video or the ad, talk about the service or the product that you're offering. And the headline at the bottom is the hook. That's what's there to get them to click. So that can be a premium offer, like 20% off now, limited time, guarantees, things like that, that nudge people into taking action. But you also want it, although you want it to interrupt people, you also want it to be native to the platform. So for Facebook, generally what you're going to find is a lot of faces, funnily enough, people sitting there doing direct-to-camera videos, holding their cell phones, doing selfie videos, or pictures of people having fun, pictures of products and prices, and etc. On Instagram, you'll find there's a key difference, which is that it's more image-heavy, although in stories at the top, you'll find there's more videos there, but it's more beautiful on Instagram.
It's more polished, more refined.
It's more of a female demographic on Instagram generally as well. So, things like that are more, beautiful, aesthetically pleasing kind of imagery and videos you'll find on there, rather than on Facebook's more of like a businessy type of video. You can do profile videos, direct-to-camera videos, things like that make a difference. So there are nuances to each of the platforms. However, making sure that your ad stands out enough to get people to pay attention, but at the same time isn't something that they're not expecting to see on that platform, because they won't engage with it. You want to reward people for going to Facebook by giving them what they're expecting to see when they get to Facebook, for example. So that's a difficult task sometimes for some people, and you've got to understand it's different to Google Ads in that you are pushing, you're interrupting people with your products or services. You're pushing your content out in front of people at a time when they're just wanting to scroll through their newsfeed, look at their mates, look at their pages that they've liked, their groups. So you need to have an offer that is compelling enough to get them to stop and take action. The difference between that and Google Ads is, obviously, you've got an ad coming up for someone who's sat there and typed in, I'm looking for an accountant or a plumber or a shoe or something like that. This has to kind of like grab people's attention at a time when they might not be interested or thinking about looking at the product or service that you're offering. So that's why if you have something that is differentiated, something that people aren't necessarily searching for, there's not a lot of traffic there for that, social media is the perfect platform for it, because you can get it out in front of approximately 1,000 people for every 10 or 15 bucks you spend.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd recommend thinking about when sort of, mulling over in your head what kind of platform to advertise on and whether or not social media is right for you.
Well, should we have a look at the goals and how it can be used?
Yeah, sure.
And we've talked about the adverts and the actual nuances of a platform and stuff, but how a business owner might choose to go about using it.
Yes.
Okay, so with SEO and Google Ads that we've discussed before, in those situations you are capturing intent. Because people have gone to the platform and typed in what they're looking for, and your aim is to come up and intersect with that intent. Social media is different. Like Bill says, you are trying to disrupt them as they are scrolling through their feed, and you need to show them something that makes them stop and pay attention. Now, there's some industries where this just does not work, right? A good example is a plumber. Unless the plumber is like specifically trying to grow his brand awareness in a local town or something, and he's just saying, "Hey, we're here and we sponsor the local kids football team" or something. Social media is not the right platform for him. Not really. No one goes to Facebook when their bathroom is flooding and scrolls through trying to find someone. Like, that's just not how people look for plumbers. But trades in general are not excluded wholly from social media advertising. Some of them can do very, very well. So if you're a tradesperson and you are in a sector or industry where the need is not as urgent as a plumber's need often is, if that sentence makes sense. Let's say you are a painter and decorator. If you're a painter and decorator and you're in a certain area, you can show an advert to people for a fairly long period of time that says, we're in your area, we're a painter and decorator, and we're doing, 4 rooms for the price of 3, or something like that, right? And there'll be lots of people out there who have been in market, I'm doing air quotes, in market for a very long time for a painter and decorator. They've never got round to it. The husband's always too busy, the wife's always too busy, whatever. Eventually they just think, oh, yeah, okay, that's nice. And they see the advert and they take you up on it. Pest inspectors, often when people have a bug problem, it can be extremely urgent, but sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes it's just something that builds up towards the summer. And because summer in Australia is a particular time for bug-bearing problems, then you can run a campaign in September, October, November, December on social media that says, hey, we're doing whatevers for whatevers, right?
And you'll generate leads through those ads, right?
Yeah, you'll generate leads through those ads because you'll put the advert in the feed.
Yep.
Somebody will see an advert for pest inspection. Well, 10,000 people will see an advert for pest inspection, and maybe 200 people at that given point are really in market for it because they know they need it doing, and then they see the advert that says, we'll come and kill all your bugs. And then they go, cool. And they click on the advert, it takes them to the website, they click on the advert, and there's a form that they can fill out. They can comment on the advert, and they can tag their wife or their husband or whoever and say, hey, call these people later on tonight, or whatever it is.
One thing that you won't get from social media ads for trades is phone calls. You'll typically get lead forms. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's why a lot of people use it to get data. Because you've got the native Facebook lead form that automatically populates. So if they say learn more on the ad, say pest inspections 30% off this summer or whatever the ad is that they see, they go, oh, okay, yeah, I'm interested in that. They hit the learn more button and it already has their name, phone number and email populated. All they have to do is hit submit. And you can obviously have that tied into a CRM or like a Google Sheet or whatever, however you want to record all those details. It's important to have people ready to make those calls for lead form.
Call them back, get their...
lead gen campaigns on social media, but it can be, and just for full transparency, generally the leads that you get from Facebook will be a higher volume, lower quality lead than something you'd get from Google.
Yes, because there's reduced intent.
Yeah.
It's Facebook in this respect, when you're doing this type of campaign, it's like advertising on TV. You show an advert on TV, 1 million people see it. There might only be 10,000 who actually care. But you're just showing it to reach those 10,000 people who will telephone and book your cruise to New Zealand.
But even, watching a TV ad and then going and picking up the phone and ringing the company, you're going to get a higher intent than someone who's just clicked 2 buttons on Facebook at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? Zombified. So just word of warning, Facebook leads are generally pretty low quality when compared to other platforms. But you do get a much cheaper lead, a higher volume of lead. And so that's why you need to be able to put in the grunt work and call the 8 people that say, I don't remember submitting my details, to get to the 9th that then says, yeah, cool, I'm interested, I want to sign up.
Yeah, so that's a good a good thing to bear in mind. You might, using round numbers, on Google Ads, for example, you could, reasonably speaking, have a $200 cost per lead. That will be a highly qualified lead if you've done your Google Ads properly. On Facebook, what Bill's saying is that you might have a $25 cost per lead. And so, you're getting way more leads for the same amount of money, but they're a lot weaker.
They're weaker in that they haven't sat there and Googled, I want this service. Some of them won't even remember having submitted their details, but a lot of them are like, I'm interested, send me some info, I'm moving in 6 months, or, there's some, it's kind of like a higher on the funnel level of intent that people have. Awareness or they're doing their research. And so building that list is still very valuable because you can email it over time and nurture those leads as well.
This is one of the things we shouldn't, because of time, we shouldn't belabor the point, but one of the things that we mentioned in episode 1 or 2 is that if you are transitioning out of being an employee and becoming a business owner, you are going to need to be more than just the electrician. You're going to need to be the accountant, the salesperson, the rep, the whatever.
The entrepreneur.
When you are advertising on social media and you are getting these leads, you are going to need to be the person who can close the deal. And there'll be a lot more work in closing these deals because it's social media. That's how these campaigns work.
The good news about it, though, is that it's scalable.
Yep.
Right? Like there's example after example of businesses that I know that I've worked with that started on $200 a day on Facebook.
Yeah.
Were taking the leads themselves and making the calls. One example I can think of now that's spending nearly $300,000 a month and has 150 employees, turning over $14 million a year, right? So, and that all started like 4 years ago on $200 a day with one person. So Facebook Meta has huge potential. It's got a lot of eyeballs on it.
Yep.
It will let you spend as much as you want. You can double your budget tomorrow, right? And then you can double it again the next day if you want. So
it's about setting up the targeting in the same way that other platforms are about finding the right keywords. It's about setting up your targeting. So the example I gave a moment ago, painter and decorator, you basically would just need to show adverts to the right type of person, geographically located to you, maybe couples probably over a certain age, probably. I mean, you're not going to show a painter and decorator advert to an 18-year-old. Let's say, 35 to 40 plus could be seeing that advert and could be a good person for that. If you have a more complicated offering than being a painter and decorator in a small regional town, for example, then you're going to need a more complicated marketing campaign. And throughout all of these podcasts, we've talked about wedding photographers as a good example about how they might go about things, and they are still relevant here in this example. So wedding photography often comes with a very big ticket and there's a very long path to conversion. So you want to be using social media to put your adverts and put demonstrations of your photographs in front of potential brides, potential grooms. The good thing is you can target people who are engaged. So if they're engaged, you know when they're single, you know when they're engaged, you know when they're married, right? If they're engaged, they're going to be a prime audience, right, for a wedding photographer. So you make sure that anyone in your town who is on social media and says that they're engaged knows that you exist, right? And it's booking a session, booking a shoot, come down and see us, whatever it would be.
Yes.
And you get that advert in front of them so that you are front of mind.
Yes.
And you just keep hammering it and hammering it and hammering it.
There is one thing about that though. Sometimes people have services or products that are not necessarily as easily to identify the target market. So if you've got a product or a service that has a much larger total addressable market, don't be scared to let Facebook target everyone, because Facebook will very quickly start to target the right people with your ads. It's probably the best platform in the world at doing that.
The algorithm that is built into the system is able to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Right. So you say you're selling, it doesn't matter what it is, if you set the target audience to everyone in Australia, Facebook won't randomly show your ads to everyone in Australia. It will very, very quickly start looking at for whom the experience on Facebook is being enhanced by seeing your ads, because they want people to spend more time on their platform. So your ad can actually do the targeting for you. If your ad, it's very easy to identify exactly what it is that you're promoting, whether it's a product or a service, within a very short period of time. Facebook will see who's skipping it and who's stopping and engaging with that ad. And it will start to build its own little audiences to target your ads with, which are often much better than the ones you can come up with yourself inside the platform. So there's obvious stuff, like if you're selling bras, you target women. If you're selling wedding photography service, then you target people who've recently become engaged.
Yeah.
But I'd test that against also a broad audience even then. Another thing, we haven't really touched on this, but if you're a business owner and you want to advertise on social media, it would be ideal. I'd recommend that you get comfortable with the idea of being on camera.
Yeah.
Nothing really performs better than the owner of the business sitting there doing a selfie video with his phone talking about the product or service that he's selling.
Yeah, and it's for an entry-level company. I would agree on that. If you're enterprise or above, production value matters.
Yes.
But for a small to medium-sized company who's kicking things off, as you probably are if you are listening to this, then, you can record a little video of yourself. I just completed a job. That person was really happy, blah, blah. And that can work.
And skip the intro. No one cares these days. Just start talking about what it is that they get out of employing your services or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd recommend that you do that. You can also test your videos on TikTok. I don't know if you've seen this strategy lately, Gary, but I know that a lot of businesses are doing it successfully by creating a TikTok account and putting up videos of themselves talking about whatever it is that they do. Some of the most successful ones are the ones that you wouldn't think would work that well. Like if people are in a factory or a warehouse, showing how the picking and packing works or how the factory makes the product, the production line, things like that.
I'd love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know why. It's boring. If someone said to me, I'm going to make a video of our forklift driver packing stuff onto a pallet, you'd go, that's not going to work. That's boring. I don't want to know about that. But it does. It actually does work.
There was a TV show on years ago. My little brother used to love it, called How It's Made. It was on in the UK. And each week they'd just go to a factory and film their process.
Right.
And it's the exact same
millions
concept.
of people sit there and watch it for hours and hours, right?
It was on national broadcast television.
Right, yeah. So a good strategy that I've seen work really well for businesses is, especially startups and you guys, posting a TikTok video every day or every couple of days. And then any videos that gain traction on TikTok organically, like naturally, because TikTok will, take 10 of your videos and they'll get 100 views, 200 views, and then one out of nowhere will just get like 10,000 views for whatever reason, right? More engagement, more time watched. TikTok wants to keep people on the platform, so they show that video to more people to enhance their experience on the platform. Take that TikTok video and turn it and run it as a Facebook ad. So people are using TikTok as sort of like a sandbox to test their videos, and then the ones that work well, they run on Facebook. And that tends to work very well. TikTok videos do work well as ads on Facebook. Facebook ads and videos don't work well on TikTok, right? So it's kind of like a thing to remember there. But yeah, getting on camera, getting creative will make a big difference. People can tell when it's authentic. It's not polished. It's not too picture perfect and, post-production and the big production value stuff. You can get people's attention on social media on a shoestring budget by being more authentic and providing them with the kind of content that they were expecting to see when they got to Facebook anyway. If you are going to do something that's post-production, if your video is going to take 10 seconds or more to explain to the person what it is that you're offering, that 10 seconds better be bloody good, or else you're going to lose them.
We actually had an example. An inquiry came through to us a couple of weeks ago. Bill and I both worked on. It was a driveway cleaner. He's out around Sydney. He's basically cleaning the tarmac of people's driveways. His business is less than a year old. It's going well, and he wants to start growing it. So he came to us asking about how can you make it grow? What can we do for advertising? And obviously we had all sorts of ideas. We said we can do this and do that and A, B, and C. And then we said, well, what are you doing now? And his whole marketing strategy up until this point had been entirely organic. It was all social media based. He would clean someone's driveway. He would stand on their driveway. He would reverse the camera, film himself saying, I've just cleaned Bob's driveway. It took me less than a day. Look how good it is. Give me a call, comment below, whatever it is, and I'll book you in for 2 weeks' time when I've got some availability. And we were a bit blown away by this. And we said, well, okay, that's great. And how far out are you booked out? And this is 3 months. We said to him, yes, you can advertise, but you don't need to. If you've got this type of social media campaign and it's keeping you booked out for 3 months in advance and you're generating turnover and you're generating profit, keep doing that. Steer into that crush. If you're a business owner who's looking to advertise and to use social media, that's one way to go. As long as you can make it work, test and learn and refine it and get it to the point where that bloke, for example, cleaning driveways, recording a short video, if that was enough, keep doing that. You know, the only thing that he took away from our meeting was that he could maybe have a slightly better website, and that he was now in a good position to increase his prices. He'd not increased his prices since the day it started.
Yes.
But if you're booked out 3 months in advance, you can increase your prices. Whack them up by 15% and see how many people still book out.
Yes.
But that works for social media, that type of approach.
Right, definitely. I guess with social media, it's the same as Google Ads. Maybe we need to cover this real quick, but you have a daily budget. However, the difference is that rather than paying per click, you pay per 1,000 people that Facebook or TikTok or wherever you're advertising shows your ads to. So you're kind of betting on the effectiveness of your own ads. So that's something that just to keep in mind if you're looking at wanting to scale your business. You can do organic posts and build a small one-man band that way. It can be successful, but the potential is absolutely huge. And if we were to tell most of the people out here listening to this how much some people spend on social media, they'd fall off their bloody chair. There are businesses out there in Australia targeting Australians spending $2 million a month. Yeah. Right. And so there is...
and they're not even necessarily the big companies you'd think of.
No, right. But it just works. They're able to spend $2 million a month, get 2,000 leads or whatever it might be, or 200,000 leads a month, convert 5% of them into customers that have a lifetime value of 10 grand a year, and it works out. I don't know what the math on those numbers I just made up are.
Lots of
Hopefully
money.
that sounds profitable. Yeah. Cool.
So
thanks, guys.
Just rounding off, social media, lots of people are on it. Just because you're not doesn't mean that your audience isn't. When you're on there, test and learn and refine. Go into it with an open mind. Use the different ad formats that are available.
Don't use engagement or traffic campaigns. Use conversion campaigns or lead form campaigns. They're the only two types that will ever do anything for you.
You can play with these campaigns yourself, and if you really, really, really can't make them work, or if it's working a little bit but you think it could be better, that's the time to reach out to a consultant or an agency. But we've both met lots of people and worked with lots of people who were able to make it work to an extent on their own. And you should absolutely be giving it a go.
Yep, agreed.
Cool. That was the shortest episode ever.
Well done, Gary.
I have
That's nice.
17 seconds to get onto my call.
See you later.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.